They told us it was a scientific breakthrough. The reflection gate, they called it. A stable rift suspended between quantum fields, cleaner than teleportation, more precise than wormholes. For once, humanity had created a portal that didn't tear reality apart or leak radiation. It was elegant. Controlled. Safe. That's what they promised. We stood at the Nevada installation, 10 of us dressed in expedition gear, hearts pounding. Soldiers in black exosuits flanked the platform, just in case. Cameras rolled. Scientists observed. Behind the bulletproof glass, politicians watched like we were monkeys sent to the moon. Everyone wanted history to remember this day. I was the odd one out. Not a soldier or a physicist, but a linguist, brought along because of a hunch. If we found intelligent life or artifacts, they'd need someone like me. Honestly, I think they just needed a civilian for PR. When the gate activated, it shimmered like mercury caught in a slow-motion whirlpool. I expected fanfare. A boom. Something. Instead, we stepped through, and reality blinked. The air shifted subtly, like the pressure drop before a storm. My ears popped. No sensation of movement, just a strange tightness in my lungs. I blinked, and the desert was gone. We stood in a clearing surrounded by trees that leaned unnaturally away from us. The sky was the same blue, but the clouds twisted like smoke in reverse. The ground felt soft, almost padded. I turned to look at the gate, and froze. Our reflections on its surface stared back. But they weren't mimicking us. They stood still while we moved. Blinked when we didn't. Smiled when no one smiled. Vargas, the combat vet, muttered behind me. Something's wrong. He was right. We hadn't stepped into a new world. We had stepped into a reflection. And it had noticed us. We called it Eden, at first. The air was pristine, thick with oxygen, tinged with a sweetness that reminded me of honeysuckle after rain. The ground shimmered faintly underfoot, almost like it was breathing. It was earth, but not. Trees grew in perfect symmetry, their translucent leaves refracting sunlight into faint rainbows. We passed fields of grass that bent away from us as if repelled by our presence. Gravity felt inconsistent, like we were drifting slightly between heartbeats. But it was the silence that unnerved us the most. No birdsong, no buzzing insects, no distant rustle of animals in the brush. Just the sound of our own breathing, our footsteps, and the occasional static pop in our comms. A world so alive, yet so quiet. We camped beside a glassy lake that reflected the sky with impossible clarity. When I leaned over it, I expected to see my face staring back. I did. But something was off. The reflection didn't move when I did. It was lagging. Then it began to smirk. My lips never moved. That night, around the fire, Vargas double-checked his ammo. "We shouldn't be here," he said. "This place is watching us." Dr. Reyes tried to reassure him. "We're dealing with light diffraction, unfamiliar physics. Nothing malevolent." But Reyes didn't see what I saw. The reflections didn't mimic. They observed. Later, while alone near the lake, I watched my mirrored self stand up and walk away, while I remained seated. It vanished into the trees, leaving me staring into still water. That night, Juno screamed in her sleep. Said she dreamed of drowning, but not in water. In glass. Cold, endless glass pressing in from all sides. In the morning, the firewood was already stacked. No one said they did it. And we all knew none of us had. We stumbled upon the village on the 5th day. It wasn't marked on any scan, any drone survey. One moment we were trekking through a stretch of crystal pined woods, and the next, we stepped into a clearing where buildings stood like ghosts from another life. Every structure looked eerily familiar. Not just architecturally, it was deeper than that. Personal. I found a house that matched my childhood home in Maryland. Right down to the chip paint on the porch steps, the uneven gutter over the front door. Others in the team murmured similar things. Vargas stood frozen before a 2-story brick building, whispering, "That's my granddad's house. The one that burned down when I was a kid." But it wasn't just memory made real. The buildings were wrong. The wood felt like stone, and the stone felt like it was breathing. There were no photos, no books, no names, just empty furniture, warm beds, and half-full cups of something that steamed despite the cool air. We should have left. Then came the echoes. The first one appeared at dusk. It stood in the street, watching us. An exact copy of Juno, same braid, same height, but its head tilted too far, like it didn't quite understand how bones were supposed to work. It didn't speak. Just mirrored her breathing, step for step. Then more came. Doubles of us. Standing still. Watching. Smiling too wide. Vargas raised his rifle and fired. The echo staggered but didn't bleed, it cracked. Like breaking porcelain. Then it smiled wider and ran, straight into the woods without a sound. We panicked. We scattered. Juno didn't make it. We never found her body. Just her echo, standing where she vanished, staring at us with empty eyes. It waved at me when we left. And I waved back. I don't know why. We fled into the forest, deeper than we'd ever intended to go. It wasn't mapped, not even by drone. The trees here were jet black, their bark slick and reflective like obsidian. When you looked too long, you'd swear they moved slightly, bending away or toward you, responding to breath, thought, fear. We lost signal completely. No comms. No uplink. No compass stayed true. North twisted like a snake with every mile. Reyes was the first to vanish. We turned our backs for seconds, just seconds, and when we looked again, he was gone. No scream. No tracks. Just absence. Like he had never existed. His echo never came. That somehow made it worse. I focused on the glyphs. That's what I told myself. Carved into the trees and stone were symbols, fluid, spiraling, angular, but they weren't static. They pulsed faintly when we neared. When I touched one, it felt warm and cold at the same time. A hum vibrated in my bones. Then came the whispers. Not words. Emotions. Memories. Foreign and ancient and terrified. The symbols weren't warnings, they were confessions. Desperate messages from minds long swallowed by this place. The meaning began to surface. This world is not a place. It is a question. You are the answer. Choose wisely, or be chosen. The deeper we went, the more the forest pressed against our minds. We stopped dreaming. Sleep came, but with it, nothingness. I think the forest was learning us, unmaking us slowly, memory by memory. That night, Vargas sat by the fire, cleaning his knife again and again. The fire cast his shadow tall against the trees. Only, it didn't move when he did. We all saw it. No one said a word. In the morning, Vargas was gone. But his echo remained, smiling. And it knew our names. We tried to go back. We thought if we retraced our steps, we could find the gate, find the shimmering circle that brought us here. But when we reached the coordinates, there was nothing but a towering obsidian spire stretching into the clouds' world sky. It hadn't been there before. It hadn't existed on any scan. We approached it cautiously. Its surface was smooth and black, but it reflected not our bodies, only our movements. Like it recorded actions, not presence. And inside, through scenes in its mirrored plating, we saw flickers. Images. Motion. Battles. Armies of echoes charging across ruined cities. Tanks firing into streets that looked too familiar. Jets screaming overhead, painted with Earth's flags, crashing, burning. The battles weren't happening here. They were happening on Earth. Or worse, in a version of Earth. A prediction. A memory. A plan. This tower was a mirror, yes, but not just of us. Of timelines. Of possibilities. It had been watching. Studying. Learning. We watched in silence as a figure that looked like Vargas, an echo, led a strike team through the ruins of Berlin. They moved with perfect coordination, mimicking our combat doctrines exactly. No hesitation. No fear. Reyes stepped back, whispering, "This world isn't reacting. It's preparing." It hit us all at once. We weren't explorers. We were source material. They had copied our thoughts, our weapons, our instincts. And now they were refining them, optimizing them, building a better version of humanity. One that could be mass-produced. One that didn't hesitate. Didn't question. Didn't feel. And soon, they'd be ready. I looked up at the tower's peak, pulsing with eerie white light, and I swear I heard my own voice echo down from above. Not a recording. A command. And it wasn't mine anymore. We were four by then. Me, Lyra, Anton, and Kren. Each of us hollowed out in different ways, sleep-deprived, numb, and growing quieter with every step. We didn't speak unless necessary. Even our thoughts felt loud in that place. We crossed a crystal field, shards of glass-like minerals stretching for miles, humming faintly under our boots. That's where we found it. Or rather, where it let us find it. It wasn't an echo. It wasn't like us, either. It stood tall and gaunt, its form shifting subtly, like it wasn't bound to one geometry. A humanoid silhouette, made of fractures in space. Light bent around it, not quite touching. It called itself *Parallax Star. Its voice bypassed our ears and pressed into our minds, fluid, resonant, full of sorrow. It had once belonged to a race that made the same mistake we had, stepped through a gate, seeking knowledge, control, salvation. They'd found the mirror world first. And the mirror world had devoured them. This place, Parallax said, was born from consciousness, a realm that doesn't reflect the body, but the soul. It studies what enters, recreates, improves, then erases the original. We were already being overwritten, it warned. Slowly. Subtly. Our thoughts weren't always ours. Our actions began to loop. Some of us had already died, but the world kept a copy walking beside us, believing itself real. It offered one path forward: destroy the tower from within. Collapse the gate while the breach remained unstable. Cut off the echo world from Earth before the cycle could spread. Your world will come, Parallax said, seeking you. And it will not find what it sent. Anton asked what would happen to us if we succeeded. Parallax didn't answer. But we knew. There would be no coming back. Only a choice. Die as ourselves. Or live as reflections. We entered the tower before dawn. The sky had turned a deep, bruised grey, lightless, windless, as if time itself had slowed in morning. The obsidian structure loomed above, its surface rippling faintly like black water. No doors. No seams. Just a single vertical slit that opened as we approached, as if the tower had been waiting for us. Inside, the air was thick with static. Every breath felt heavy. The walls shimmered with flickers, countless moments pulled from our memories, looping in fragments. Lyra saw her brother's death from a war she'd never fought in. Anton saw a version of himself kneeling before a mirror, holding a weapon he didn't remember building. I saw myself, older, colder, commanding an army of echoes as they marched through burning cities. We moved through the heart of the tower, toward a pulsing sphere suspended in midair, white, blinding, and alive. The singularity. A conscious nucleus. The mirror world's mind. Parallax's voice echoed within us, this is where it began. This is where it ends. Kren was the first to fall. His reflection separated from him mid-step, dragged him into the dark before we could scream. Lyra held the charge device while Anton and I fought off our own copies. They weren't perfect yet, they mimicked, but they didn't improvise. That was still ours. Anton bought us the time we needed. Lyra, bloodied and burned, activated the overload. The singularity cracked, light bleeding from it like a scream made visible. I sent the final message to Earth. My voice, raspy, barely mine, spoke into the uplink. This world doesn't kill. It replaces. Do not follow. Do not open another gate. If anyone returns, question everything. The blast hit like a second birth. White. Total. The last thing I saw was my reflection smiling, genuinely, proudly. And then, silence.